Guys, this is me here. So, I usually don't do toy reviews like this, but I thought it was pretty cool to do a review on. I had just recently got this Ram truck here, and I also got the Matchbox working rigs. But we got something a little bit more different, and it actually sort of goes well with my with my little city that I have here right now. Today we're going to take a look at a monster from a show called Ultraman. If you don't know what Ultraman is, you can either Google him, or even better, I can tell you. Ultraman is a very, very similar thing to Godzilla. There were other giant monsters when it comes to movies, like, let's say for an example, Godzilla, of course. We had Ultraman is basically a man who turns into a giant Ultraman. That's what it's called. It transforms. And it also basically turns. And then we have those other movies like King Kong and other monsters, and they're quite nice to have. And it's too bad some of them aren't always included in toys, so you won't be able to get all of them. Although some people did sculpt them out of clay, but we're not going to be focusing on that too much. We're going to be focusing on a monster that I've been dying to feel or like to see. So let's get started. So today's toy review is a monster called Neronga from Ultraman. Episode 3, I believe. He actually appeared, unlike the other monsters, which we're gonna get into there later, many times, but he didn't, like, he almost, I think, appeared 8 times, or maybe it was 4 times or something. He appeared in the very old version, and then he appeared a little bit more in the newer versions, and the way how he looks actually appeared in many versions, but it's gonna be kind of confusing, but we're gonna just talk about that later. So let's take a look at this. This is the very newest Bandai creation figure. So this is actually the very smaller 4-inch one. There is I think a larger one, but I didn't get the larger one because it's too expensive. But this one looks kind of realistic because he has his horn bent. The other one just had its horn almost like a crescent. So I thought this one looked really nice. And since he's a Japanese figure, they're all gonna come with this tag here. This is what the monster really looks like. Kind of vicious looking, of course. Almost looks like a mix between like those burrowing reptiles or maybe something with a, I don't know, like a beetle horn or something. But yeah, so we're gonna take a look at this. Now, we're gonna look at it more when I cut the tag off, but I'm gonna be back though. Okay, I cut it off actually. It's out of the box. I mean, out of the package. Um, it's basically, what's it called? Sorry about that. I had to cut the tag off more, but you can see this is what we got from the eBay. I think it was about $9 or something. Not too bad for a figure like this, but it's pretty nice though, and as you can see, it says Ultraman. There's the monster, 123. I'm not so sure what this says there. I'm really, really sorry, but I'm pretty sure it probably talks about the monster and how big he is. It looks like it says something 45 meters, and I think that would say 4,000 tons or 4 million tons. Well, I would understand that because in the movie he's so big, so well, he's not too big, but he is big, almost like a marshmallow, but he's not a marshmallow, so yeah. But there you go. Wow, let's look at the detail for a sec. Wow, it's pretty nice. I actually quite like it a lot. He's basically pretty nice looking. No, I shouldn't. I usually don't say that though, but it's pretty cool looking actually. It has like this, I'm pretty sure it's like that we're actually going to get into this for a second, but before I talk about it, it has like these bristles on it. This it's like this shell thing so that it can dig. I actually been told, and I seen it before, that Neronga is actually supposed to be a four-legged monster, so he can stand up like this. But in the show, he actually pretty much is like that. Um, well, it's kind of hard to do, but you're probably gonna get something like this though. It still looks okay, anyways. It's a little bit more smaller. Now, this I believe is made out of soft vinyl, so the figure is actually quite squishy for some reason. It's hard to see, but if I see how squishy he is, he's not very squishy, but he's not hard either. I can squish him. It does have a seam there, so I might not want to crack it open just in case. So it's just best if I don't know. He's pretty much gonna be like this. I actually thought he looked all black, but he's actually kind of brownish, I guess. Which actually does look good because in the show he's supposed to have this brownish color, but it's not supposed to be too brown though. It's supposed to be something like this, almost like a charcoal color or something. Well, not charcoal either, but you kind of get it. It's pretty awesome looking, actually. Like I said, it has like these scales, has this bumpy look, almost like a rock. Has like these little bumpy skin here, and it has these it's not dorsal fins, but it's like these strange fins here, which I think it's like that. I don't know why they forgot to like paint the tail there, but at least they painted this part yellow though. Now we're gonna see, like this is the only paint job I believe. Now you can also see he has details on the eyes. He actually looks like in the show, which actually does look cool because it's kind of scary looking. I'm scared of something else instead of this, but yeah, you can see it has the red gums. I like how they painted the gums in like a red color. If they painted it pink, it would have had looked kind of ugly. And it has that funny looking jaw, if you notice. It has this jaw that it's like almost like a fang, but it's like sticking up like that, you can see. And it has it has one of these horns. Actually, one of them are like ears, even though I wouldn't say they are ears. But the other one is a horn. This silver part here, it's painted, which actually looks nice because the real thing has like a silverish horn. That is basically it's painted. It also has these would actually in the show they actually go backwards like this, but on this figure that's like forward, which actually it's not too bad actually. I'm pretty sure most of the time, if you wanted to do parts where he shoots at something, it's very perfect. And the shape of the horn is realistic also. I like how it's curved like that and it has these bumps. Kind of looks like a beetle almost. Like if they took a almost like a, what is it called, those animals or whatever it is, probably a komodo or something, and they like had these beetle horns or something. It's quite creative, the Ultramonsters and the Godzilla kaiju monsters. And his head is quite interesting also, and I like how they have the fins detailed like that. It for some reason splits like that, sort of curved a little bit. I like how they try to imitate the curve so that it looks like it's moving around or something. And it has these bumps because this is, I think it's an underground monster. And now for the history, I believe, I think this monster had something to do with some sort of samurai or something. I don't remember quite much. I think you have to look it up in the Wikipedia, but it said something about a samurai that was fighting with this monster, and I think the samurai had lost or something. And the crazy thing about this monster is that he is actually what I call an electricity monster because he actually feeds on electricity. He'll basically go to some sort of plant and he feeds off electricity. It's kind of confusing, but it's very interesting how he does it. And then they say that the in the Wikipedia that the monster actually gets bigger and bigger while it's feeding energy of electricity. and it basically gets nice. It basically gets giant enough that it destroys the city. And then it fights with Ultraman, and I was surprised when I saw that the monster got defeated quite easily. I thought the monster is kind of dangerous. He is, but he's not like one of those ones where he'll just instantly attack you. He's just like one of those monsters that are just like rah rah. But he was still strong though. He actually turns transparent when he's well, he basically turns transparent because of the like the electricity. So I think when he gets attacked, he, I believe, turns transparent, and then he's like invisible, like you cannot see him. Although some people have claimed that sometimes when he was invisible, he will actually get hit. Even though he's invincible, you may think he'll like objects can go through him, which I think it does, but somehow he can get hit, so it's kind of odd. Eventually, somehow he gets defeated. I think he gets defeated by the eye or something. I don't remember. And there's a part where Ultraman lifts him. Ultraman like pulls his antlers or these ears backwards and disables the electricity thing because these things basically fold back and forth. So he did it in a way as if it wasn't able to do it anymore. So he like disabled it. And then he lifted them up in the air, and threw them somewhere near a hill, and he blew them up. As like the typical monsters, all monsters pretty much blow up in any Ultraman monsters. Um, it's a very unique one though, and in the entire show, he was pretty much like this, where he was mostly a four-legged monster crawler, but he did stand up like a humanoid, but I think it looked better when he was like it's something like this, but he still looks okay though. But that's what happened in the movie. He basically got killed by Ultraman because he was bad and he was feeding off too many electricity and he got defeated. That was the very first episode. I believe it was episode number 3. So if you didn't know, like I said, he turns into Ultraman. I don't know what the name of the guy is, but I believe one of them turns into Ultraman and defeats him and battles him. And then we all seen it in the very newer Ultraman episodes that he appeared, I think, many times. Um, One of the craziest fight I think I seen from the episodes was when he was fighting a monster called Gudon. If you don't know who Gudon is, you can Google him up. I don't have a figure of him. I don't actually like him though because he kind of has that I don't know. It's just not so. I'm not so crazy about it, but he is that type of figurine that is kind of scary looking. So, what happened was that Neronga basically fought. They were both fighting. I didn't see too much of it. I did saw the part where, like, when Gudon was trying to attack him, he turned invisible. And another thing I forgot to mention in all episodes, his antlers. What happens is that when he wants to attack, he basically has his antlers like this, and then it turns around and bends like that, and then the nasal horn, these 3 beams of light connect together, and then the beam or the light shoots like that, and then it can defeat the monster. It basically doesn't shoot out of its mouth like some of the other monsters, but it does shoot from its horns and ears, or antennae. I'm pretty much going to call it antennae, actually. So yeah, and there was another one that we've been familiar with. He appeared in one of the very famous monsters we've seen many times, Gamora or Gamora. I think there was a time where he appeared there, and so there was basically a time where I'm pretty sure it was the part where Gamora actually battles him. If you don't know who Gamora is, he's very, very, very famous when it comes to Ultra Monsters. However, there was another one with him again, but or maybe it was the same one where he was actually a dead monster, but this ball-looking thing that almost looks like, they call it the Monster Bolton. If you don't know what he looks like a weird brain or something, and he's huge. Whatever it was, he had this weird, this thing had this weird power where he would revive dead monsters back to life, and he was one of the monsters, neronga. And I'm pretty sure we also saw him in another one. Yeah, I think we saw him in another one, or maybe those were the only ones. Let me know in the comments which ones, what other episodes did he appear in also. It's been a while ever since I used to Google it. I don't have my computer with me or something, so I can't exactly read. But there is a very, very easy one I can tell you, though. So, as far as the articulation, his, sorry about that, there's a lot going on where I'm at, but basically, the arms actually rotate 360 degrees like this. Sometimes, well, because sometimes it's not always shaped correctly, the fingernails might get in the way of the, like it might hit the leg, but it's just a fraction bit that you are still able to go through like that, but it's pretty much a 360 degrees turn. So, as you can see, so you can have it like this. I don't know, he's like, rawr. You can have him just like regular eyes, I guess. Or you can try to position him as a four-legged monster, which actually all of them had, by the way. But it won't work that great, though, unless if you try to bend the legs, but I wouldn't bend the legs, though. It's already how it is. I think the other one actually has moving legs, but it still looks okay nonetheless. He still looks cool in both ways. I like it when he's standing up, or, you know, I like it when he's, like, in his mode like this. But you can just try to do something like this at least, so, yeah. The cool thing about this is that he's one of those monsters that are underground, and we're gonna get to that, eventually. But you can see how he has these little fins here, and here, and he has these bristles. I'm pretty sure this is, I don't remember if neronga, because, and we're gonna talk about this eventually, but the other one actually, I'm pretty sure he does go underground, but you might think, no, he can't, because he has these things here. Maybe he can, unless if that's folded back, even though you can still pretend he is, because because these are actually thick plastic or thick vinyl. I mean, you could bend it, but it's not gonna break so much unless if you really, really force it on, but it's okay. Oh, and another thing that also articulates, and you may think the tail is supposed to be like that. I don't know why they painted it, like they did not painted it, but it still looks okay anyways. Now, this tail actually turns 360 degrees, just like the bigger version from Bandai. The only thing that does not articulate is the head. The horns would not articulate because they're too, it's a small thing, so it's hard to make small stuff move. The legs don't move at all, even though the other one did have moving legs. It still looks okay nonetheless. Now let's go into scale. We already talked about the paint job. I mean, it'll only look better if this was painted, but it still looks okay at least. At least it has the fin details, so it still looks okay. However, the cool thing is that, like everything else, like the shade of it is perfect. The nails are not painted, I forgot to mention that, but the nails don't look too, like, at least they're like, you know, 3D eyes. It's not painted, but it's like, you know, detail, you know. Now, let's go into, scale, actually. Now, if you're not so familiar with dolls like these, we have stuff like this monster here. Here is a T-Rex. This is actually some sort of, I think it's from the Jurassic Park. This is like the very old T-Rex. In real life, he would actually be about this big, but I mean, the T-Rex is still big, but he's not supposed to be that like what I see here is okay, unless if you're doing Gorosaurus, which is actually a giant T-Rex. If you don't know what he is, you'll be okay. The only way you could do a Gorosaurus if you took a regular T-Rex and try to put spikes on it. That should look okay. But yeah, that's a T-Rex. Now, I usually don't do stuff like this, but here's a Hot Wheels truck, or a Hot Wheels vehicle, and you can just see it's big and tall, but it is, small. What's even better is I have these micro machines here. We're just gonna, let's take this cement mixer. The scale is actually perfect. However, the real thing is a little bit bigger, but this is okay if you're doing micro machines like this, or micro scale cars. It just looks realistic. I'm pretty sure that's what they sort of did in these, Godzilla eyes monsters, but it might have been a little bit different. It was probably the suit or something. I remember shows like Pingu where they actually had to do it like stop motion animation. Here is a Godzilla, the 2014 one, I believe. I think this is the 2014 it's the very newest Godzilla. You're actually gonna see this in the King Kong versus Godzilla. Okay, sorry about that, but the Godzilla scale, well, if you don't care about scale, this will look okay. But in real life, Godzilla would actually be about here, actually. But it's not too bad, but I think it's the head or the entire thing is just too big. But if you did want it to do it, it'll look okay anyways. I've seen people, they fight with the monsters, so it still looks cool nonetheless. But that's the 2014 Godzilla. He has some red clay there for some reason. I don't know why. Now, I didn't do a review on this monster, but I might. Is King Caesar from Godzilla. I think he appeared many times. No, not many times. I think he appeared in another one, but he was very famous in the 70s Godzilla one with Mechagodzilla. The scale, I don't think it's good. I think it's supposed to be about here. I mean, it's not too bad, but neronga is actually supposed to be about like to the neck. So I don't know if the scale is good. It's not bad, but I don't know, maybe that could be a 4 out of 10, but yeah, that's the figure. Here's another dinosaur I forgot to do a review to show. What about a Triceratops? It's so I think he's supposed to be bigger actually, but it's not that bad of a scale. I mean, I don't know why, but some movies they feature dinosaurs so huge looking, so it's kind of confusing. But yeah, that's one. And if you had a toy tank, let's see what a toy tank looks like with it. Well, if it was a ginormous one, it would look maybe okay, but this actually is huge. It's supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be so big. We got 2 more monsters to show. Here's King Ghidorah. Now, I actually remember in the movies, King Ghidorah is like almost the largest monster. So, if you were doing something like this, it actually is perfect. Although I think neronga should be slightly smaller, but this I think is perfect because King Ghidorah is very, very huge. So, I mean, I remember in the very newest Godzilla movies, he's huge. But that's King Ghidorah, the 3-headed dragon, or whatever it is. Now, if you're not a Godzilla fan, but you're not a Ultraman fan, and you just like getting giant monsters, here's one that I think will go really funny with. The Ghostbusters Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Now, the scale of it is not good, unless if you don't, like, if you want to have a very ginormous Stay Puft, maybe. But if you want to actually really, really get to actual scale, this scale is not so great. I'm pretty sure neronga was 40 meters. I don't know about Godzilla. I've been told in the movie of Ghostbusters with the Marshmallow Man, they actually said that this monster is supposed to be 100 feet, like it's 100-foot Marshmallow Man. Maybe, but I think the monster, because he's like about the height of the buildings, Neronga would actually be larger than those buildings, so he'll probably be about the height of the hat. So he probably like his head would be facing the hat, and he would be like this. So this scale is not really great, but if you don't care about that and you just want to have giant monsters destroying cities, that's all that matters. So that's Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Kind of looks like a Pillsbury Doughboy, but he is not. And he's not the Michelin Man either, but he looks more like him though. Now, that's the scale for all the other monsters. And I could actually do a movie about it, but we're just gonna do a tour review. This monster is pretty cool looking. He is one of those characters where he's slow, but he's still cool to look at. And actually, there's a very, very fun fact you gotta listen to, actually. If you're, like, now let's get started. Now, if you love Godzilla, and you watch, pretty much the old shows or old movies, I don't know if you guys heard of a monster called Baragon. And if you don't know who Baragon looks like, I'll show you a face of him. Yep, that's Baragon here. There's actually two types of Baragons, but this is the one I'm gonna show. Now, if you don't get what I'm talking about, this guy is actually Baragon. Even though you may think, what are you talking about? Well, if you look at the suit and these ribs here, or whatever these are for the thing to go underground, this body, except for these bumps here, are actually the body of the Baragon suit. And if I go further, you're going to see something even more interesting. There's that neronga monster. That's what he really looks like. You see how he has his things in the back? There's another one that actually looks kind of creepy or freaky. It's Gabora, Pagos, Geronga, which I never heard of, and this one is actually Magular or Magora. For some reason, he looks a lot more scarier, but hey, don't forget, they're the same actually. If I go up closer, and you'll see something very. Okay, so here's actually an even better look of it. Now, if you don't know, and you may think, what do you mean Neronga has something to do with these monsters? Well, if you look carefully, it's hard to see. This is actually Gabora from another Ultramonster. So, the very first Baragon actually, or the Baragon looking monster we seen, now this one is very, very different, but if you look at the body, it's literally almost the same. Now, this monster here is called Pagos, or Pagos. It's actually called Pagos. This monster actually is like the Neronga. See how he has these ribs on the back? The thing, because they're all these underground monsters. The only difference about this one, I think he still has these things on the arm. His head is totally different than all the others. This one has like these two horns as if it was some sort of, I don't know, it's like an antler. It's kind of interesting looking. It has another horn there, kind of like Neronga. And it has these fangs teeth, almost like a saber-toothed tiger, or like those deers or something. That's Pagos. He was actually from Ultra Q. And you see how they look almost the same? It's pretty much the body the same, except this one has these things here, which we'll get in the other one. Now, this was the second Baragon they had to use in the Ultra series. This one is Neronga, and we already know what he looks like. See how his horns are folded like that? That's what they do. Now, this time the head is different, of course. This one has like these jaw things, like you see how funny looking the jaw looks? But the other one is a different head. So that's like the second one. That's like the first one with the head like that, but it's the second one with the body like that. Now, if we go further to the second one with that head like that, here is another one that kind of looks very funny looking. This one is called Gabora, and I don't mean Gabora like the Gabera monster, the one that looks like Godzilla from the one that has that funny roar. This one is a different one. He basically, so this one has like the same thing, except this time when they were making the suit, they removed this horn, they removed the other horns, and they also removed these funny looking fins that the neronga had, and they decided to instead make these nostrils. If you look carefully, he has some little noses here. They decided to also put these petals here, in which in the show they actually close, like open and close. And that's Gabora. That's like the second version with the head. You see how they look exactly the same almost? Except this time he has, like, well, for Neronga, he has a horn and ears and these fins. But Gabora is different. He has no fins in the back, but he has petals and no horn but a nose instead. And for some reason, this one I've been told is painted all gray. And this particular monster was supposed to feed on uranium, which is the stuff that they use to make bombs, I believe, or nuclear or something like that. That's what this monster is. He's a uranium feeder. And this one is gonna be hard to tell. The only thing you can tell about him is actually his jaw. This one is called Magular, and he appeared in an episode with Red King, Chandlar, and Pigmon. Now, this particular one, they did, just like the other one, added these things on the back. This time, instead of adding these fins, they decided to add spikes all over it, as if it was some sort of a porcupine monster. This one, I don't know what he's supposed to be, but they say he has that devilish look to it. But if you look carefully, you can see how he has that jaw there. You see how it has that funny looking jaw? It's even better if I show you the little... You see how they both have that funny teeth? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. The only difference is this one is that since he's covered up with all these spikes, you won't even notice it, and you'll just think, no, this is not Neronga or Baragon. It actually is. There are some of these bumps here. It's still there. It's just they put too many spikes that you can't even tell where they are. But let's just say the head is the same. Except, it's all covered up in spikes. But it's just the mouth and the eyes that look the same. But not the... I mean, it does have horns or spikes on it, but it's just... Just look at it again and you'll see the difference. The only thing I can find that is the same is the jaw. But that's Magular. That's like the third one with the face. And now we have one more, and this one is actually related to Neronga. This time it's called Geronga. This one is kind of funny looking because he has hair for some reason. He does have those ribs on the back. This time he has this... He kind of looks more like almost like the Michelin Man. He has these bumps on it. He does still have that shell in the back, or those ribs. But he has these big horns. He has this nasal horn, like the other one. He does have that funny looking jaw. Except this time he is kind of like the Pagos monster, where instead of the teeth upwards like this, he actually has a fang teeth going down like that. If I show you this one, it's even better to look at. So yeah. Now, this is also another good reason why we couldn't see Baragon in a few scenes, because the suit of Baragon had to be used with these types of monsters. And it's best if you Google Baragon monsters. If you Google something like the Baragon family, you'll actually find out that they're pretty much like brothers and sisters, even though it's pretty much just one costume, but they just changed it. Now, I'm pretty sure the company who made Godzilla and the Ultra one, like Kaiju, I think they had to, like, they were like, we can't use this monster anymore because we did a lot of facial and just updated stuff on his body, so they were like, you can't use this anymore. But it's pretty cool, though, because you have, like they're all underground monsters. I don't know about Neronga and Geronga, but I'm pretty sure they're all underground monsters. We definitely know that Gabora, Magular, Baragon, and Kagos are the ones that we all know they do that all the time. But yeah, that's what that's what Neronga is. He's basically a Baragon suit with a different head, and it's been used in many different types of monsters. That I think is very creative. So they basically use the exact same suit, but they, changed it so much so that it'll be different. It's kind of nice because it's like one of those things where you don't have to buy so many of these suits. You can just use one suit and just change it to make it look like it was a different monster. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give a like below and please subscribe. And yeah, it was very, very nice. I know this video is quite long, but goodbye everyone, and stay safe, and have a good night. I want electricity. Give me the camera, I want to have electricity. Where did he go? He turned invisible. Just kidding, he's still there. I only do that in the show. But goodbye. Yeah, I want electricity.